taste is good, and it was from a place that I just imagined was dealing with a lot of stress, and I'm grateful to them for still producing food during this time and supporting. And I just wanted to support the locals, but I was like, whoa, I feel like you really can taste the love that goes into food. And I wonder if that's something that's measurable. um, I certainly can feel the love that goes into sound. And so this kind of synesthetic experience of how the food, and also food more than more than visuals, can like evoke a memory. Sometimes the taste and flavor and smell of something can actually bring back more detailed memory for someone than other kinds of cues. So there's like this direct experience channel that like taste has to our entire neural system that's really profound. And it seems like it's mostly been a survival strategy, or not mostly, but it's, we're focused on survival for so many millennia as a species, that like now this is the amazing time where we have all the different ingredients from all the different cultures that we can like innovate with. We have all these new technologies that we can make food with. I am just so excited to experience like synesthetic experiences that sort of integrate the power of taste. So that's just like my bit on food right now. But anyway, nice to meet Nicola and
Nikki,
Adam,
Adam,
Stephen.
Rachel. You might know Steven. You guys might have met before. You definitely will. Um, we've
Cool.
got some others joining. Paola's joining from Colombia. We've got Steven's in Costa Rica. Um,
Uh-huh.
so yeah, Amanda is the Beyonce of,
Thank you so much.
and that's Jonathan there, who's a professor of time of all things. Hey, Jonathan.
Hi, good to see you, Alicia.
Great to see you. Great to see you here. Was it, Amanda, I'm not one to miss an opportunity of serendipity happening. So we're going to go into this world's largest synchronized meditation. I'm gonna screen share and go into that.
Yeah, let's do that.
Pretty cool.
I'm
Maybe
definitely,
at the
yeah,
end
that
of
sounds
the,
great.
if we finish that, let's say in 12 minutes, should you be able to bring some sound magic to the food group? That would be just that would me not to miss an opportunity.
Okay, sounds good. Yes.
Yeah.
Well then, and then everyone can, if you want to grab headphones too, I highly encourage it. Who is going to be listening?
Yeah,
With the background roll.
that sounds like
You are
yes.
in for a treat. Okay, perfect. So maybe 10 minutes from 11:20 to 11:30 would be amazing. Look
Okay,
at that.
sounds good. All right, I'll try and set up super fast.
Yeah, you
Okay.
guys are in for a treat, I assure you. So well, let's move into the synchronized meditation. I'm just trying to get this up. I think they might be overloaded. Can you imagine that there's so many people meditating that you can't get on?
That's amazing.
Um, let's see.
I just love Steven's contribution, just not saying anything, just doing. Peeling those pineapples.
That's Steven.
When you plant pineapples, you have to peel all the bottom. Ooh, I'm bleeding. You have to peel all the bottom leaves off so that the roots could come out. Otherwise, it'll take a really long time. So that's what I'm taking this time for.
Yay.
Well, we are, interestingly, I think there's so many people on this world's largest meditation that it's not streaming. I was planning on just screen sharing us across, but it's,
Watching live.
let me see if YouTube's working. It's got a YouTube.
There we go.
Give me a moment. I love it. It feels like the burn, you know. You make plans and then you adapt quickly. Um, there's another 17,000 people queuing, waiting to get onto this meditation, and I'm trying to see if it. Be patient, people are saying. Maybe it starts at 11:11. Okay, there you go. They're saying now they shifted it because they've got bandwidth issues or something. So I will let you know when the meditation starts. In the meantime, maybe what we could do is, given we've got Amanda here, let's and this is a serendipitous baby making between the sound group. I love you, Stephen. The sound for health and food for health. Just maybe drop into that together. That there's, our intention here was to start with sound. In the beginning, there was the word, then go to food, being the thing, the great unifier, and then go to community. Every one of those steps is with intention, because what we're seeing is that the cross-pollination of the games is already happening, and so yeah, that could be our yin welcoming will be, Amanda was a real like superstar of our Sound for Health group, and we have some serious superstars in that group as well, as we do with food. So I'm really excited for you to experience some of Amanda's like transcendent gifts. So Amanda, if you whenever you're ready, you let me know. And in the interim, I will let everyone know if this meditation actually begins. And otherwise, maybe what we could do is, does anyone else want to share a practice, or have you got a something that you've done? For example, I remember Tristan had some great examples of kind of hacks that he would introduce over dinner to deeply connect people. Maybe that could be a good place to start. What are the ways that you have seen as most effective for building connection and community and trust around food? Who would like to go? I can just start to give an example. So here at Savannah House, we have a dining room table that was a gift. It's over here.
Peace and blessings, everyone, and welcome to this magnificent World Meditation Day.
I'm going to flip over.
It's a very special day, and I have the privilege of
meditation.
hosting this day and ultimately leading us in a prayer and meditation. Now, this day is very special. The world has come to a complete stop because of the COVID-19 epidemic. And what I want you to know is that the universe is progressive. It never goes backwards. So even though we have come to a stop, there's something underneath all of this that's brewing to go forward. But here's the deal. We have to participate in it. And so meditation allows us to participate in the next unfoldment of our species. This day is very, very special. Imagine what would happen if the whole world meditated together. Studies confirm that groups who meditate together decrease violence, improve resilience,
Can everyone see?
and raise compassion throughout their community. And we're calling forward over 1 billion people in this crucial moment in history to rise up together. Will we continue to face life with fear and helplessness? Or will we choose this moment to join in meditation and shift our global intention towards healing and compassion together? We're calling forward our worldwide community to join together and raise our collective vibration. Participate in the largest synchronized meditation in history. So here's the deal. We want you to share this opportunity with your friends. They don't have to be meditators. They have to be people who are interested in this reset that we're now involved in. So if a person knows how to meditate, a person doesn't know how to meditate, this is an opportunity for all of us to be still, because I'm going to guide you into meditation. We want this to be the largest meditation that's ever happened in human history. Imagine, just for a moment, all of us coming together, coming to a complete stop, and embracing vibrationally the next stage of human evolution. This is what this is about. Share this with your friends. When I come back in about an hour after you hear the testimonies and the wonderful offerings from some very special people, I'm going to lead you in a prayer and meditation period in which all of us will gather together, become still, and have a moment in which we pull our attention away from the world of effects and come into a level of coherence about what's possible. When humankind begins to re-engineer their imagination about what's possible, miracles can happen. I'm inviting you to a moment of miracle.
Hi, I'm Brandy Sabella, co-creator of Scion Earth and Rhythmia.
And I'm Kelly Noonan-Gores, the director of the HEAL documentary and author of the HEAL book.
And we are super excited to be here today with you to kick off May Day, World Meditation Day, the largest global synchronized meditation in history. We're here together today with over 200 impactful organizations, including Self-Realization Fellowship of Paramahansa Yogananda, Transcendental Meditation, Rhythmia. We've got these amazing celebrities who have come on board to activate their communities, influencers, speakers, thought leaders, artists, and you to create this unprecedented moment.
We also have 3 of the biggest gurus in India with their hundreds of millions of followers.
Yes.
All of the support from these organizations and people have allowed us to call forward over 1 billion people to join us today.
All over the world today.
And obviously we're in an unprecedented time where we're coming together to face this one intense challenge. And so much is being exposed right now about the unsustainability of parts of our individual lives and parts of the societal lives and global life. And we now have an opportunity to come together and get our hearts and our minds in a state of coherence and shift the vibration of the planet.
Yes, we have the opportunity to be the solution, because when we raise our vibration and we come together, we raise the Earth's vibration. And when we're in the higher frequencies, there's solutions to every single problem that we're facing right now. And we become receptors that can receive these new ideas, these new possibilities. So today, together, we're going to shift into a new paradigm.
And we saw what happened when our friends over at Unify organized a global meditation on 4/4 and had over 2 million people meditating at the same time. And Brandy thought, well, why not 1 billion?
Yeah.
What can we affect when 1 billion people come together and get their hearts and minds in a state of coherence? We've put together a powerful program of these scientists, doctors, spiritual leaders, luminaries that are going to explain the powers of meditation, intention, and prayer. And that's going to lead us into a beautiful meditation to affect that change. So without further ado, let's dive into the program. And thank you again for joining us today.
Let's make shift happen.
What's up, everybody? This is Brian.
I'm Angie.
Live and alive from New York City. May Day is our opportunity to be the solution.
So let's rise for humanity and heal the earth to shift the energy from fear and into love.
Unite,
Pray,
and meditate.
unite.
Unissons-nous.
Unite.
团结.
Únete. Meditate.
Meditate. Meditate.
Medita.
Meditieren.
Meditate. Pray.
祈祷.
صلوا. Pray.
Prions. Pray.
Global Silent Minute, a 9 p.m. GMT daily practice focused on global cooperation, peace, and freedom, is based on the knowing that energy follows thought, that united, shared, intentional thought increases the power exponentially.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is your boy Akon, and I'm calling out to all and everybody in the world for World's Meditation Day. That's May 21st, hashtag May Day.
Hi there. My name is Dr. Judith Kravitz, and I am the founder and developer of the Transformational Breath Integrative Breathing System. I'm coming to you here from northeast of the United States.
I am a big believer of manifestation, really, through prayer and meditation. You know, no matter what religion you subscribe to, meditation or prayer, as some call it, are powerful tools to transform your life, really. And I know this firsthand. In order for me to become the youngest heavyweight champion in the history of boxing, you know, it started with the belief that I could achieve anything. And by doing that, and all I was really doing, without realizing it at the time, was meditation techniques. Now that I'm conscious and aware of my power of my mind, I feel unstoppable, invincible. I took on a new zest in life, and I'm very grateful for the power of meditation and prayer to change my life and transcend my life to become the person I've always dreamed of becoming. I came across this man in one of his teachings online on YouTube, and he blew me away. Right after watching his teaching, I went on a hunt to really find this gentleman.
18.
And I really was interested in soaking up more of his knowledge and teaching. And the best way to really introduce this gentleman, great mystic teacher, is through one of his quotes about himself, that is. And he said, this life, for me, is an endeavor to help.
Thank you all. I'm gonna just check in on Amanda if you have the ability to lead us on 8 minutes. You're muted. I'm gonna unmute you.
Yes, I'm just trying to set up my audio right now. So if it may not work out if it's only 8 minutes, because it may take me 3 more minutes. And I don't know if I can do what I need to do in 5.
Take 8 minutes and 3 minutes. We will. It's worth it.
Okay.
We'll continue with a meditation. In fact, what I'm going to do is just take people into take everyone while you're getting set up. Just tell me when you're ready, and just so everyone can think through where we're at. Hey, Mackenzie, welcome. I know some others are joining at 11:30, so we've been fortunate that Amanda Gregory, a very, very dear friend and you know, superstar of the present and future, and incredible contributor to all things Unified Planet Sound for Health, is going to take us on a sound journey as we're going to cross-pollinate real time. We weren't expecting her to be here, so we're responding. And as you go through this, what I would love to do is just share with you. I'm going to screen share over here, just to plant some seeds around how we're thinking about this. So, can you see my screen here? So, what we're going to do, our goal to synthesize by tomorrow is what's called an upgrade. It's the Food for Health upgrade. It's just the first gate of our journey together. And this is where we can start to bring in new people. It's where we'll form the Unified Planet Food Alliance. It's where we can form guilds to support the community initiatives that are being proposed. And it's a particular stackable structure. Think of it as a way that we're trying to present systems change in a way that's incredibly digestible, designed for a large audience. It's not just designed for systems experts. It's not just designed for funders. And so the way we've done this is we start with the team name, for example, Food Justice. For example, like food, we've got food culture, for example, food reverence. We start with the team name. We then go to the upload title. For example, it could be 1 for 1 if it's what Kara's working on. It could be Mindful Meals is the title of the upload. And then what we want to have is a supporting paragraph. And this is just like one paragraph that explains mindful meals. And it could be we're creating a card deck that will get distributed to people playing the game, that will take them on a ritual journey to reconnect them with their food and reconnect them with their communities and where food comes from, and like the whole experience of food. So that's the supporting paragraph. And then what we wanted to do is give space for any supporting studies. If there's supporting videos, supporting studies, research papers, blogs, anything like that anyone would like to put in, that's the place for it. And then we basically create this document that becomes like the first stage. That's what we start to share with initial funders, and it takes us through to the Sprout stage, where we go and take those 8 uploads and we consolidate them into one alliance, and then like one or more guilds, depending on how many initiatives have got energy to continue forward. And then if anyone has bonus solutions, which often fits in categories, like there may be additional solutions around food justice, for example, or food waste that you want to highlight, that's going to be there. And so this is what we're going to spend the next hour doing. Brian has done some synthesis of notes, and I'm just trying to see, because this is moved around from what I remember, but okay, so food justice. Okay, did you delete what was there yesterday?
No.
Okay, Amanda, let me know when you're ready. Food justice, Cara is going to be doing a summary on One for One there. It's changed from yesterday. So food genome, Stephen, we can connect on that. Food culture, Nikki and Paola. So hopefully you get a sense, like we'll create a name and then create a meme, for example, like what would be a meme that could characterize food culture? Because that's one of the ways we try and make these uploads shareable, if that makes sense. Food reverence, that's where Krista, we can write up the summary of mindful meals. Food waste, Mackenzie, you're on that one with food technology. And so we'll do a one page on each, and they could obviously relate to each other, and they could become consolidated into a single guild, for example, as we go forward, and then start to invite new collaborators in. And then food and land stewardship, Adam, that's on your side. And so it's basically a way to like profile a community solution. It doesn't need to profile like the whole, like, it doesn't need to encapsulate the whole like system. It's the idea is to profile a solution within that category. And then finally, we've got community regenerative development, and that's going to be Josiah. So hopefully that's clear. And I'm going to stop sharing here.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can.
Can you hear reverb? Or is it just the regular?
I think it's just you.
Okay, cool. That's fine. I haven't screen shared yet. I'm not all is lost. Let's try testing this real quick. I'm going to screen share. Oh, host disabled attendee screen sharing.
Oh, let me Zoom.
Make you a co-host. Makes you a co-host.
Yeah, make co-host. There we go. Cool. You should be able to do that now. So maybe like 6 to 8 minutes would be great, just because we've got to get on our.
It would be great if I could share my screen, but for some reason it's
Can you
still
do
not
that?
letting me.
Oh.
Maybe
Try
if
now.
I leave and come back.
Try now.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Computer sound only. Share. What about now?
It says you're sharing computer sound.
Can you hear this? Echoing?
Nope.
Okay, what about echoing? What about now? Echoing?
No.
Yes.
This is the performance. All right. So everyone, we'll go for 7 minutes or so. If we can take a deep breath. And this is going to be a Escalapian sound bath. So I'll just be improvising some psychoacoustic vocals, and you'll hear some nature sounds, and we'll just ride the wave together until it's over. Okay, so if you ever want to just close your eyes, I highly encourage, and enjoy.
Thank you so much, Amanda. Love this cross-pollination. Maybe, maybe Amanda, if you, just as an idea, if you could, if you want to just open the group up tomorrow at 11 a.m., that would be cool.
Sure, would love to.
That would be really cool. And then we've got 3 presentations from the Sound Alliance, followed by the Sound Technology Guild, followed by the Sound Portal Guild. So maybe like 8 minutes to kick us off, and then we'll go straight into it.
Okay.
Amazing. You're welcome to stay for now this as we dive in. Thank you, thank you.
I'll probably head out.
Yeah, you head out. Great to see you, Jonathan.
So nice to meet you guys. Thank
Yeah.
you for
You'll meet again.
Yay.
Nice to meet you.
Yes, you too. Actually, yeah, we totally have met. You're so familiar. But we'll figure it
Yeah,
out.
you look
another
familiar
time.
too.
Okay.
That's because you know each other in the future. Right, cool. Well, that was a surprise treat. I thought we were just going to only start with the world's largest ever meditation, but we we got that too. So can everyone see the document? I'm going to share it in with the chat. Just one sec. Okay. Okay, I'm going to share this with the chat. Let's see. Boom, boom, boom. Chat. Okay. So that's the document. So basically, what the intention is today is we've got the next 50 minutes. The intention for us here is to really, it's kind of like a synthesis gate, where we spend the week inviting what are the categories and then what are solutions to be profiled in those categories. And what we find is it's a really effective way to synthesize the collective intelligence of people that are like subject matter experts in the field, that are community leaders, and like profile some of the most meaningful solutions. And as you can imagine, if you stack 26 a year of these, 26 times 8, we'll be profiling a lot of solutions which add up all of the funding for that, and it becomes something really, really compelling. So what we've got, so we started with food justice. Stephen, this one was, we thought food justice, the solution we wanted to profile was the one-for-one model at Alegria. And so Kara's going to do a write-up of that. And the whole idea here is that we will be profiling like a kind of circular economy solution for regenerative farms to create within cities, and like take this model that's already in existence, but like basically create the kind of framework that it could be scaled and repeated. And so Kara's going to be sharing on that. But if anyone else, whilst we're discussing these one by one, if anyone else has things to contribute to that, resources, etc., feel free to add them here as notes on this document. The document's a little kind of like direct notes from the meetings here. The next one was food genome. So this one is for you. I know you couldn't be with us yesterday, Stephen, but we wanted to invite you to basically do, like, if you were to synthesize a title for food genome of like seed, soil, and food banks, and like what we could profile as a solution in that. This could be a great place for 1001, potentially, to profile that as a solution, 1001 hectares, and in particular this aspect of the ecosystem. Adam brought in yesterday, that it would be good to include things like heritage heirloom cattle species. So like we introduced this concept. Does this even exist? Because I was quite excited about it. I'd never heard it existing. The adaptive farming, like this whole notion of like adaptive farming to climate change. Is that even a concept?
I think it's emerging. A handful of the different regenerative farmers that I've worked with, they got into it and they've kind of discovered that the missing link is the genes of the animal after, a couple failed attempts. But I just reached out to the Livestock Conservancy, and they hold kind of the library of heirloom unique breeds. So I'm going to see if I can get a hold of what they are, where they are, and that could potentially be just another layer on a GIS type system.
Awesome. So Stephen, is this if you synthesized your life work around seed banking, I guess you'd say, like we've been calling it like food and plant genome, but like this is the kind of thing we want. It's only a one pager. We want to create a meme around it. An example of the meme is like back to soil and soul. Because what we're trying to do is like show the solutions that we can send out and like bounce memes and ask more and more people that are going to be playing the game to send out memes as solutions, because ultimately we think that we need to be as good at propaganda as the current system of separation and fear is, but for things that are wholesome and based on intergenerational wellness and regenerative principles. Something that Nikki, you brought into this one was with the social gastronomy movement, soil regeneration, and like with Eugene, I'm pronouncing his name wrong, but in the Amazon, tackling desertification could be an area of this one as well, to bring that in. If you want to put any links around that, that could be, we could feature that in this section as well around food genome. But Stephen, is that kind of clear on a like we're just really looking for kind of a synthesis from you, like a paragraph of what
I mean, I guess the only kind of confusion, hold on, I'm like in a freaking construction zone. The only kind of confusion, I guess, is around, because for me, like the genome piece of it is just one piece of the bigger thing. It's like, to do a 1001 project, you need the demonstration farm and nursery. So like, it's like one of the first things we do. Like when we started Ecovia, when we started Olivia, the first thing we did is we brought all the plants there and set up the macro nursery. And the idea is that these would be like regionally placed, depending on the area that you are, because you don't want to be moving plants all over. You want to set this up in several spots. So I'm just trying to wonder the scope. I just see it part of the whole, it's like, I don't see it so separate.
Well, this is actually the beautiful thing of an upgrade, is what you end up seeing is that each one of these 8 pillars, it's a bit of a forcing function for synthesis, and it's not ever going to be complete. What ends up happening is 8 pillars they're all interdependent. And what we're trying to do is basically give someone something that they can read in like 8 minutes, and that be like from the best of the best in the field of being like, these are the most important things to know about. So like it's intentionally trying to reduce.
And then I guess the other question is like, depending on budget, there's like the whole wet end of the spectrum. I mean, we could, do micro investments in existing nurseries and existing things that are happening, or a big macro investment. We create the best of the best in the world, so it's like, I'm used, like, depending on who I'm talking to, it's like, at which scale are we thinking?
Well, that's going to be, that
makes
is
sense.
basically the sprout stage. And so what we'll do is from 2 weeks from now, from the 1st of June, that's where we'll synthesize into, okay, like what are projects that we could present to funders and other ecosystem partners, and like the more tickets that have got money on them, like ultimately the actual money tickets don't need to fully come in until the harvest stage, which is in essentially 8 weeks from now. But by that stage, like you can profile, okay, here are solutions at the micro, and that can receive funding. But it's also good to have solutions at the macro. So, for example, like I think we're going to have in sound, the sound, the Sound Portal Guild has proposed a art car called Shamanka, which is like the female Mayan warrior. And the whole goal is it's a unified planet art car. And my hope is it'll actually be the car that will pull the train, the Vision Train. So that like that you know, I would like to see 4 horns of Jericho on that car, so it's the loudest car ever created and things like that. That it's like it's the train. Sorry, Steve and I are talking complete gibberish here, I realize, for most people, but it's cool basically. But that's the kind of like, we want projects that could be like, this is $5,000 to fund this thing. And then here's another project that's like $5 million. You know, like Khan has raised over $100 million for his company. And so what we want to do is like show here, you know, pour money in here and watch the results come out, and pour more money in and watch more results come out, is the idea behind this. So
cool. I like it.
So I would say don't worry about the funding right now. Start with the synthesis of like what would we like to communicate around seed banking, food bank, you know, this piece.
Cool. Right now, you want me to answer? You're waiting for me to answer? Sure, start thinking about it.
You can click on the link and you can just basically what we're looking for is a title, a paragraph. It's not a lot right now. It's just like the high level synthesis and like what a solution might be, or what you've already found. So what you described here as the demonstration nursery.
Okay.
You could say like start with demonstration nursery, second like be part of this network, like however you would however you would synthesize your life work into a page on this particular topic. That's kind of what we're after.
Okay. Can you do me a favor? Can you email that link also? Because once we end this call, that whole thing goes away.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'll follow up with everyone with an email link so that, because our goal is to capture all of this by tomorrow. So then we can put it together into a beautiful document that everyone's welcome to share. And that will then like take us in. We have a week off next week, so we can think about structure and who else we might want to invite. And then we go in to Sprout on the 1st of June. So thank you, Stephen. Next is food culture. So Nikki and Paula, like, love here just to profile social gastronomy movement as the solution and the recipient of funding. And so if there's like again, if you click on that document, you can see there's the title page, kind of what we would need to profile that. Any thoughts, questions you've got on that? Anything you want to share while we're all here?
Just to make sure, like, it's just we want to come up with a title and then sort of like a blurb around it, right? Profiling what as well social gastronomy stands for.
Exactly. So it's a title which is maximum 140 characters long. It's a meme. If there's a meme that represents the social gastronomy movement, you know, for example, like when you have more than you need, build a longer table, not a higher fence, is a meme. And we could create a visual for the social gastronomy movement around that, for example, you know, and that could be something that's shareable, where we say like social gastronomy is part of unified planet, and like we're just trying to cross-pollinate. And then supporting paragraph is kind of like, you could just bring literally a summary of what the movement's about and how it's tackling food culture. It needs to be kind of themed around food culture, which is all-encompassing food enchantment, food education, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I sort of summarized it right by health, wealth, and social change. Like, because it goes, you know, it starts from the individual. So the health piece that Paola as well specifically works with. So that goes into the food nutrition education piece, where the food comes from, to wealth, which is sort of a job creation piece, which is part of our cultural and societal elements. Economic growth when it comes, to wages within the industry, and then the social change piece. So I don't know if that would be along those lines, but we could frame it.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. That exactly that. And so if you and Paola could share that in this document, that would be awesome. And then I think
until tomorrow, right?
Until tomorrow, yeah.
Okay.
And Adam, you mentioned the Wilderness Awareness School yesterday, and the Coyote's Guide to Mentoring. So any links, resources that you want to share that we could have as like additional resources around this category of culture?
Okay.
Would be good to profile here.
Sure.
Welcome back, Jeff. So then we'll move on fast through this one, because I think this one's super clear. Food reverence. This is a place where mindful meals, turning mindful meals into an interactive game that could include a card deck that would create a number of prompts. I know we discuss things like this, Nikki, with the hubs and how we have like invite meals. Like I think actually creating culture, a little bit like with Nikki and I are part of the World Economic Forum's like initiative around Global Dignity Day, where as like an advocate for Global Dignity Day, you can go into school and talk about dignity in school. And so we were thinking about doing something around this with meals, and so mindful meals could introduce a set of reverence and like remembrance around how people break bread together. And we could invite people all around the world that are playing games to say, we're going to host a mindful meal, and they get a format. I think that would be a really good thing. And we'll Krista and Sycamore will be leading on this one. But if anyone has rituals that you want to introduce here, like feel free to, if anyone's done blogs, for example, on like how to connect deeply with food, this is the place to put those in, and then we'll just try and capture that knowledge. What will happen is, as each of these mature further, there's actually going to be an online collaboration platform for others to come in and contribute to these as well.
Do you want to invite Jeff to see where he's at with his potential projects?
Yeah, so Jeff, we yesterday we broke we kind of synthesized 8 different category areas. You can see the link there, Jeff. I'll send it to you in the chat as well here. But any ones that particularly speak to you that you'd like to contribute to, would welcome. This one may. So Mackenzie, this is another one. Thank you so much for leading 2, kind of synthesizing 2 here. Food waste. We could profile some of Tristan's work in this regard. We could invite him in to be part of the Food Alliance as well. Imperfectly delicious, distribution and logistics we looked at, and I thought what you raised, Mackenzie, around food waste starting with soil was super interesting, because a lot of people don't think about soil being a place of innovation around food waste. So maybe if you could just say a word on that and how you're thinking about this one.
Certainly, yeah. I mean, the soil value chain clearly, includes compost, but in the last 10, 20 years, a lot of the technology around biochar has come a long way. The pyrolysis process uses very large amounts of organic waste, food waste. You can even use animal waste through pyrolysis to create electricity, heat, CO2, and biochar. Biochar is one of the best soil amendments on the planet. So, when we look at food and organic waste, they typically come from food service, food retailers, the green and brown waste of the food system. food manufacturers, and those tend to be the same people buying specialty crops. So there's a perfect opportunity in the regenerative agriculture, kind of local, vertical agriculture consideration, specialty crop production that has grown mix of the nutrients from, compost and biochar production, gasification, some of the other, very scalable technologies around that, built around a self-contained soil-based growing system, which is modular and scalable. And that's the work we've been doing around that.
So do you feel you have, enough to profile here under food waste? And by all means, feel free to profile GeoGrow as well as a solution.
Well, GeoGrow is kind of it's a facilitation in a way. There just has not been, field farming and forestry, the economy of scale for soil amendments just doesn't work. So there just hasn't been, other than ornamentals farming, which was largely done with synthetic, soil and synthetic nutrients, a scalable soil-based, system. So we sort of had to figure out our inputs and found a bunch of technologies like biochar and gasification that are amazing technologies, but don't have the economics to scale. So it's just an opportunity to tie these things together. And when you look at food waste and organic waste in general, what you need is pulpers and, a lot of really heavy industrial equipment and infrastructure, to manage that stuff at scale. It's what we need for offsetting climate change. It's what we need for, a whole lot of environmental remediation projects. And so, in general, I think one can kind of be the means to the other.
Well, the invitation here, this is a great example. The invitation for these community solutions is, where do you feel in the food waste landscape, where do you feel the greatest opportunity for funding into the commons could be? Where the what we're proposing is directly creating value for the commons. So it could be like, thinking about, food, like thinking about an initiative that could be well funded to tackle these issues.
I would say it's twofold, and honestly, in my own self-interest, sure, I think GeoGrow is a really important tool in that consideration. Secondarily, I have a friend named Christine Mosley that's the CEO of a company called Full Harvest, and Christine. Much like that, Christine, right?
Christine, yeah.
She's super smart.
Into this as a guild member.
They're just rocking Full Harvest, growing like crazy, and juice and puree and pulp and so many of the other applications for specialty crops that are left in the field. Flash freezing, a lot of the cold chain stuff around that. You can address it with bioenergy, and you're talking about food processing. You're talking about places that have tons and tons of organic waste. So, rethinking this not through the lens of people with cutting edge and emerging technologies, like higher end composting, Kobayashi composting or biochar or whatever, trying to go to an investor and explain it to them in the context of how in this bigger project they could manage it, but rather starting with the demand for the specialty crops and then financing that demand into a pool of liquid capital to invest in infrastructure based on the knowledge of what best technologies that are emerging, and allowing a range for R&D and iteration, because these systems haven't worked together yet at scale. And so I really feel like the people on this call have the opportunity to make that happen.
Amazing. All right. I think we're clear on this one as a next step. And yeah, this is if you can introduce Full Harvest as part of the solution landscape here.
Yeah.
I know. I spent time with Krista. Krista came to a dinner we did, a social gastronomy dinner that we did with Nikki in Davos, and I've met her numerous times through the World Economic Forum and through like Bay Area friends, and she's awesome and
she could be wonderful. And could I also ask?
Yeah.
Could I also ask for the addition one more person? Composting kind of has its very own rock stars, and they're biodynamic composters. Could we bring, some biodynamic composters or Kobayashi composters, people that have some sort of cutting edge composting technologies to this. I mean, there's industrial equipment as well, and that's a whole nother step, but just sort of keeping in the theme of what we're working on. I know there's a bunch of, some awesome growers, and I know Jeff and Josiah and a bunch of people know some just amazing compost cookers.
For sure. Just to reiterate, Mackenzie, on this, like you are a co-founder of the game. You are like fully empowered to bring in who you feel can contribute. See this as a collective. This is not my game, it's our game. See who you can bring in to ultimately the whole intention of the Unified Planet is to accelerate community solutions. If there's people that are holding codes that you can bring in,
okay,
bring them in. More than welcome.
All over it.
Like that's
okay.
Like we're just going to continue showing up and like trying to connect dots and resources and things like that. So please feel free.
Love it.
The other thing that hasn't been brought up is food storage, which is a huge energy consumption. It's like one of the top things. I wonder if anyone working in that realm.
We actually scoped a project in Panama using geothermal to store shipping containers full of long-term storage, freeze-dried and vacuum-packed and nitrogen vacuum-packed food underground. So actually digging down 45 feet, because that's where the water table was where we were, but in other places significantly deeper, and using the the natural cooling effect of kind of like a root cellar in a way. It was another one of the conversations we had around, for example, like farmers markets and CSAs. They throw away so much. Retailers, they throw away so much. Having a secondary means for processing food like that, long-term storage in the ground, that's all I would know.
That is super interesting, particularly as we get into resiliency and food resiliency, which is probably a category of its own. It may fit under food culture. But thinking about, particularly as we're moving into more and more pandemics and places where we won't have food security, thinking about those solutions in the commons, where every city would have, like, for example, one of these, like, enough food. I know from the UK, for example, if the UK's supply chain got cut off, I think we've only got enough food for like 2 weeks, which is insane.
What?
It's insane.
The entirety of New England, every single local farm in New England was actually included in a study that disintermediated the local agricultural supply to the population centers in New England. If every single farm in New England was funded, had equipment, had labor, I mean, was it just at full capacity, they couldn't supply Manhattan for like a Tuesday. I mean, the volumes of what has to come in and be processed and be stored and, et cetera, for the food industry, it's just like astronomical.
Well, these are certainly like solutions, again, planetary commons. When we're thinking about food resiliency and food security, these kind of solutions we really want to bring in and highlight, because my father was a prisoner of war in Poland and was on the run. He was starved for a long time. He didn't eat for weeks. And he always raised me with society as one missed meal from anarchy. So, and what he meant by that is if you don't know where your next meal comes from, any sense of civility goes completely out the window. And most people are just blissfully unaware of how fragile the current system is.
My dad always said, it's all good until people's children are hungry.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that's when things get really serious.
Yeah.
Because people do what it takes to go get fed. Starvation does things to the primally to you.
Steven's got a balance.
Yeah. You gotta go, Steven.
You taking off, bro?
I'm in full, like, my phone's dying, so I'm like in the house and I'm in a work zone. I'm about to lose my mind.
We'll email you that doc, man, and just like look through all that and follow up. We're so grateful for your time.
Yeah, brother. Stoked.
I always get so stoked seeing you because you're like doing the work. We're like, you're talking about it, and he's just like, I'm going the pineapples right now, man.
You guys check this out. Check out where I am. Hold on.
Shit, look at that.
Oh my God.
That's the whale's tail.
What? Oh,
and it's on the most epic river ever, like over the top.
Stephen, when Lucy and I were on a run this morning, and I was like, the first place we can go when we're out of here, we're going straight to Stevens.
Yeah, I'm always in interesting spots. Well, I love you guys. I'm ready. Let's do it.
Thank you so much, Stephen.
Love.
We love you, Stephen.
And
love.
And Stephen will put in, I think, with Nikki and Paola. I heard Nikki and Paola. I think we should put in under food culture, Ecoversity. We should mention that, which is Stephen's new. It just launched at the weekend, but it would be a great way for us to. They're bringing people like Charles Eisenstein to teach courses on this. It would be a great thing to profile, and of course, have Stephen be part of the social gastronomy movement as well.
Cool. So, Lucy, you had asked if there's an arena that I'm interested in sort of helping focus on, and I think it's funny. I think the frame that's most relevant for me of the ones you have down there is the food justice one, and Kara's actually she's amazing, and I love working with her. So that I saw her name attached to it. It'd be fun to work with Kara on that. I think the bucket that's kind of missing for me is local food systems, which is related to food justice, but it's kind of at the heart of it,
Totally, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I would want to work in the nexus of local food systems and food justice. Those are the two arenas where I'm not too attached to labels. I just, want to do real work and help move the needle. And we're about to get funded to do a local food systems project in 14 counties in Michigan, just north of Detroit. And we're going to be analyzing, they grow beets, corn, and soy. I think I told you guys this, so I won't repeat everything. But we're looking at a pretty exciting project to build local food systems, in a place that desperately needs it. I'm excited to help find other folks in the arena and contribute and leverage, the platform you're building to move the needle.
Well, let's do that. That sounds like awesome mix. Cara and I were leaving voice notes for each other last night about just where she's at, and I think doing food justice, doing a profiling local food systems, and particular like circular food resilience programs of like 1-for-1 model where we can have what we want to see is that people playing the game could get access to be part of a trusted network of like local regenerative farms, and we can actually create a kind of a sort of parallel circular economy around food for people that are part of these communities. So just profiling that on the small scale and just showing how it could work. I think we could set it up really easily here in the Bay Area because we've already got such a big network and multiple farms. And so just looking at what that would look like would be awesome. And I think as we get on connecting food justice, Jeff, and also the last one, which is community regenerative development that Josiah is going to be leading, but like that's another one, like let's look at how we connect food justice and community regenerative development, because that one includes urban food, sustainable infrastructure, cradle to cradle, like farm to fork. All of those pieces are in that. Obviously it intersects with food justice.
Yeah, I actually didn't see that one on the list. Maybe I didn't scroll far enough. I mean, that's community regenerative development is actually the mission of my company. So and Josiah is my land partner. I'm very happy to play in that sandbox with Josiah. I don't see it on your Google Doc, actually.
It's under 7. I don't know where 8 went. It just got deleted.
Yeah, 7 or 8. Oh, I see. It's just a different font.
It's further down because the notes.
Yeah, I mean, Josiah and I would have a blast working on that. And you don't need a local food systems thing if you have community regenerative development. It's a bigger bucket. So yeah. And those are the two arenas I'm working on. We're going to be bringing grocery stores into towns that don't have one in the downtown. So it's a combination of local food systems and food justice.
Well, let's just stay focused on this one, Jeff, for a moment. Community regenerative development. One is the right name for it. And two, like how would we think about synthesizing this into into like a fundable community solution, in particular focused on the planetary commons?
I mean, my approach and right now, and what I'm really dedicated to is all change is local, and then it aggregates up into sort of the global. And so I think my current strategy in my work and what I'm trying to do is to bring funding into real projects on the ground, and so I would want to make sure that that's the direction of the money, as opposed to like money going into the more macro and entities. So I think obviously there's going to be a need for something to to keep the wheels turning on the umbrella. So in terms of making that happen, I mean, I'm connected to a bunch of on the ground, food justice efforts, and I'm trying to think who else is trying to aggregate them. I don't think there's anybody doing a great job of it. So I think there's an opportunity to do a good service to the overall community by pulling them together. Yeah, I don't know enough about your meta goals to be able to comment perfectly on this. So I'm really just kind of sharing my own perspective on what I think an umbrella organization can do most effectively. And I think it can help, highlight and bring visibility and funds to efforts on the ground across the country or across the world.
So from a meta perspective, if you imagine in 8 weeks' time there being a Unified Planet Food Alliance with a number of test projects, and that is testing direct funding to communities to bring in solutions around community regenerative development, circular economies, farm to fork, that we're funding some experiments, and ultimately as those prove, as those become demonstrated projects, we actually, like, because there's so many projects starting through Unified Planet, we're going to have multiple case studies of like smash hit successes, and those are going to go to funders and say, look, there's a new way of funding the commons and creating value and actually having return on investment for funding the commons. And this is the big hypothesis we've got here, is like there's a huge missed opportunity for how we fund communities. And it's just like we kind of take it for granted that the way we create value in the world right now is through companies and through foundations and through government. But there's like this new form, which is actually the ancient form of how we created value, which is through the communities we belong to. And so the whole point here of Unified Planet is to go and demonstrate that funding communities can show that cooperative advantage outperforms competitive advantage. And so we're gonna be doing lots of those, and like each one adds more strength to the next one. So that's how we're thinking about it. Is we're currently letting 1,000 flowers bloom, and like great flowers will lift everybody else. And so when Sound Helix, which is a spin out of the Sound Technology Guild, when Sound Helix becomes a smash hit, like self-playing bowl, that as a solution is going to provide value for every other solution being proposed through this method, is how we're thinking about it.
I like that very much, and it's in line with how I'm approaching local code. So yeah, sounds great. Sounds really good. And I mean, we actually, just a quick thing, there's a nonprofit and a for-profit side of what we're doing, and the nonprofit is setting up apprenticeships in successful companies that are working well economically, socially, environmentally in local contexts, and by definition are not propagating because they're independent, locally owned businesses, and they're not forming a national chain or franchise. So that's actually the heart of what the nonprofit's going to do. It's already started, and there's a few of our apprenticeships that are being built right now. And the first is around grocery, because it's such a challenging thing to do in a low-income neighborhood, and there's a few great solutions out there. So so I really like the ethic and the approach, and yeah, great.
Well, that might be. I've done a lot of work over the last decade with apprenticeships. This would be a brilliant thing to bring in as a solution for community regenerative development, because
Yeah.
we could launch an apprentice program which would be very scalable, where we go and say like every apprentice that comes in through the Unified Planet gets paid this amount for their time, and there's a stackable model, and we can roll out apprenticeships through like social gastronomy movement. Like we could roll out apprenticeships in city hubs around the world and have a repeatable model. So that's the kind of thing we're welcoming in. That might be
good. Well, that's great. That's exciting because that's what I want to do. So it's great.
Awesome. Well, if you want to profile like a synthesis of what you've landed on around and do it with Josiah, like category 8, what we'll do is we'll connect you and Clara on justice, and then you and Josiah, I know you're already connected, but if you can tag team with them on like what would be that synthesis, and of course profile local code, and local code solutions as a solution partner. We're all about finding people like Christine Molesley from Full Harvest. She's someone that I personally trust. I would be like, hey, Christine, here's $50 million to apply into this ecosystem. How would you spend it? She's got the skills to do that, and like that's kind of what we're looking for, is like people that can scale, and so you're here for a reason, Jeff.
Awesome. That sounds great.
Perfect. Well, so moving back to you, Mackenzie. So food technology. I saw your message about Neil. I've messaged Will. Will's coming to the dinner tonight that we're doing. We're doing a community impact dinner, and that's going to kick off the next game, which is community impact game that will kick off on the 1st of June with food at the Sprout stage. But I would love for you to take the leadership of like, I haven't messaged Dan yet and feel I should, but Dan Mapes this is, but as a synthesis of kind of geoponics, geospatial, like there's a lot here, AI, bioregional funding for these kind of things, it's really like how you would best, like what would you put into a one pager that could best communicate these emerging technologies, that ultimately you don't need to think about like the funding ask right now, that'll come in the future, but it's like how would we summarize the work that you've been doing with James Hanusa, Greg Marsh, others.
I'd be happy to put that together. Just are you going to follow up with an email from this just to make sure that I've got an accurate to-do list, because I'm like moving around the house trying to keep up with everything at the same time.
Yeah. You're going to get an email.
I'm happy to knock a one-pager out. I'm sure Greg and Dan and James and everybody else will add their flavor. And in general, I mean, what we're trying to do is take advantage of a bunch of emerging technologies that have logical hooks, logical ways that they can work together, and sort of extending, the system of systems approach so that anybody can put on a pair of virtual reality goggles and go through all the reasons why this is a better way to do it, visually, tangibly, full data, full, in whatever perspective they want, so, and we don't have to keep exchanging, executive summaries and 10-slide presentations as if that's the answer to, these really complicated questions and problems and projects.
Perfect. Anything else you want? Anyone else's input on this one as Mackenzie takes the lead from here? I know Nikki and Paola, you'll have a number of food technology solutions that can get profiled, and feel free to like put any references in here as well. But this seems like a really slam dunk upload, as we call it.
Any input, any ideas, I'd love to get them. You know, Jeff, Josiah, Nikki Pella, Adam. You know, and I'll be happy to follow up in group and make sure everybody gets included. Awesome. Yeah, we'll do a follow-up email. Hopefully we can get it out tonight so that everybody gets, we've got sound coming on in 6 minutes, and that takes us through to 3:30, and then we've got community starting. It's non-stop today. It's epic day.
Maybe drop in with Adam a little bit to see if he feels equipped.
Yeah. So that's the last one. So anyone else on food technology? Anyone want to add anything? Otherwise, we'll move to food stewardship and food and land stewardship. Cool. Adam, how are you feeling on this? I saw you've been taking some notes.
I'm feeling pretty good. You know, one of the things that just came up just a couple miles down the road from us is there's an organic farmer that's been tending the same land for a long time, and a couple different gas stations have wanted to purchase their property, but they're looking to hand it over into a community commons type of thing so that the community could continue to use their fertile land. And so it seems like that is a model that exists in a lot of places. An aging farmer desiring for the land to remain as a farm, but they just don't, farmers can't afford the land because they have, I believe, 40 acres that's $1.5 million. But it has incredible infrastructure for community teaching classes, kitchen. So it seems like that could be kind of find those local places, make it a hub, create a training facility out of those fertile places that exist already. And then that hub can kind of grow from there. There are a couple places already in this area on the land that I'm on where there are about 10 different landowners who've come together to agree to manage their land in similar fashions. So some kind of stimulus for people that are doing that, or a way to hold a piece of their land for young farmers to come in, because that's a big piece of farmers can't afford to purchase land, and aging landowners can't afford to actually do the work of farming. So how do you pair those two functionally and then grow those successful models?
So there's two things that I think would be really good to bring in here. One is what Stephen Brooks and Cara is working on with 1001 hectares as a model.
Mm-hmm.
Three things actually. One is that. Two is Joe Brewer's Planetary Land Trust. I'll put. Do you know Joe?
Yes, I'm familiar with his work.
So Joe is kind of involved. I had wanted Joe to be here this week, but he wasn't able to make it. He's in Colombia. But Joe's very kind of engaged in the game and what's unfolding, and I've been putting Joe in touch with a few different people around this notion of a planetary land trust, and backing a currency on that. One area that I think will connect the dots in. I had a call yesterday with Ian Michael. Do you know Ian Michael? So Ian Michael, Samantha Sweetwater, a few different people that have been involved, Kamara up in Vancouver, up in Canada. But basically I don't know when it's going to be. It might be the next one after community. We're going to kick a game off on eco-villages, and what we're actually, I think, going to kick the game off is going to be on land stewardship. And so would love you to be part of that game as well. And that's going to bring together people like David Casey, David Levy, people that are have regenerative eco-villages already, and look at how we could create a network of these spaces together and fund through a co-op structure, fund them. So the stipend you talked about, think about it as a way to create essentially a land trust model, And I think we may be able to see if we could partner with Pachamama Alliance, Lynn and Bill Twist on this, with the Asheville tribe and like the Sacred Headwaters of the Amazon. Well, I think all these dots could be connected around this. Stephen Brooks is a great person for this, and there's a few people that I think are like great leaders in this area that we could. This is really good that it's land stewardship can come from food and then can connect into its own game.
Okay.
So we'll keep you in the loop on that. But
perfect.
Do you feel like anyone else want to share anything on land and food stewardship before we sign off?
Yeah, I'll give you just 10 seconds. I mean, that's at Green Valley Farm north of San Francisco, we're going to probably participate in the agrarian trust system where you sell the underlying land to a trust and it gets in perpetual stewardship. So I'm in the thick of that right now. I just built the model actually the last 3 days for how the transition would work. And then, yeah, with regard to the local code, I mean, in terms of land stewardship, we're working on a community land trust model to own core Main Street assets in towns so they don't get stuck in the hands of the wrong people, which can really screw up everything. So anyway, good topic for me too.
Awesome. Anyone else? Hey, Paula.
Hello. No, I didn't want to say anything. Sorry.
No worries. Well, Adam, are you feeling complete on that?
Yes, I am. All set.
Great. Awesome. Well, that concludes our seed stage of this. Like, well, our seed stage actually concludes tomorrow. We're wrapping up with the each of the 8 uploads to create the upgrade, and so we'll share with that, and you'll kind of see once all these ideas get synthesized, you'll be like, oh, I get what's going on here. I get this. It's like it's an energy building mechanism. It's a Commonwealth engine. So just deeply grateful to each one of you for showing up and sharing your ideas, your Dharma, and just like deep bow, thank you, and for co-creating with us and trusting in this process, and we'll be in touch today, and then we'll be in touch next week. We're going to do a retrospective next week. So for anyone that, like, the whole idea is we do 1 week on and 1 week off, and in the week off, as co-founders of the game, as like you each one of you is what we call a founding player of food. We've got a questionnaire, and we invite in your ideas to help evolve the game. So the game is literally being created through collective intelligence. And so that will be next week at 11 a.m.
It's a great spot to really ideate and talk about your flow as you're putting things together and continued ideas. It's really productive for the sound guilds and alliance. So I highly recommend, if you have the time, join us.
Yeah, it's a good like we just put an hour in, and sometimes they roll over. Last week we ended up doing we put an hour in each day, and we ended up doing eight hours over 4 days with a number of people, because people were so engaged in co-creating this, and that energy is just taking us through to incredible projects in sound. And so we'll do those invites. No pressure on that. That's not like part of it. It's just like we would love your feedback in the questionnaire, but the retrospective is if you have like, the game would be awesome to bring this in, or even like, to be honest, like the game right now is I think we need more play. And we need to do, and that's already emerging. We're seeing, for example, with the sound group, this whole the Sound Portal Guild developing a scavenger hunt, which will have like all these sound portals all across the city, that will take people on a journey and like an immersive experience through systems change through sound. And so we're seeing like that play element come in much more so, and just like that co-ownership really of the game. So thank you. Maybe we could finish with a closing, everyone share a closing word, and then Shane is with us. Thank you, Shane. We're going to move over to the Sound Technology Guild and Sound Helix. But Adam, what's your closing word?
Just gratitude for a greater, higher perspective of all you amazing individuals, to get out of the trenches for a hot second and to just appreciate what's happening in the world. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Adam. Paola?
Yeah, I would like to say the same. I'm very, very grateful to be here and can't wait to co-create with you. So thank you.
Thank you, Paola. Thank you. Coming from Colombia. Mackenzie, this is why we do it.
Yeah, so how about my family prayer? Could we close with that?
Please.
So Anaya's, and it's her family prayer too. I am a place where God shines through, for she and I are one, not two. God needs me where and as I am. I need not worry, fear, nor plan. I am relaxed, grateful, loving, and free. God carries out his perfect plan through me. And so it is.
And so it is.
So it is.
I love that.
Beautiful, brother. Thank you. And so good to see you. I love that sign of peace. It's like the... It's so good to have you here with us.
Thank you. It's good to see you. Lucian, you're doing amazing work. The whole team there, you guys are doing just fantastic things for the world. Good on you.
Thank you so much. It's a deep honor to be in this space. It's just struck a chord, and we continue to be played by the music. Jeff.
Yeah, I'm just excited to see all the synergies. It's funny when I know I'm in a good flow, when you find people caring and thinking about the same things and having some approaches to solutions. So excited to play the game. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Nikki.
I was thinking, but I'm just excited to see what we create usually in Davos, this space of creation and synergy, to be able to recreate that. I think this is an amazing opportunity, and I'm excited for the work ahead, connecting the dots.
You give David a giant hug from me.
It will have to be virtual. He's in a different city.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much. Welcome, Shane, for the next chapter, and just really appreciate you all. We'll follow up today.
Thank you, everyone.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate you all.
I'm blown away.